Hello traders, 'tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Tuesday, November the 25th, the year's 2025. Let's talk trading. Trading better. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. As always, let's have risk management in place so we don't lose more than we're willing to lose. Now, trading better. We know what trading is, but what do I mean by better? Well, I've been watching some videos. Some of them are on exercise, some of them on our self-improvement, and something that I've noticed, especially some of these are like Japanese exercises, and the way why some of the Japanese have better results than we do. And I guess there's this one thing called Kazan. I think it's Kaizan or Zen, and it's a small improvement every time. I think we may have brushed on this topic before. Um, and so when you sit down to trade, um, you want to not do things that you shouldn't do. That's probably the biggest one in trading. More so than doing things that you should do. And the thing is, you might say, well, isn't that just saying the same thing? Not exactly. Because if you're impulsive, you want to stop that. So um, you want to work to trade when everything lines up. And they're looking just to make a small improvement. And I think what's that one guy, what's his name? Uh, has like once a month he comes out and he'll have a live stream and you can ask questions. I think it's Jared Chandler. He wrote one of those books and he talks about having your A game, your B game, and your C game. And the whole idea is to eliminate all the things that make that you're doing at the C game level. So you're basically maybe operating at the A and B more. And then he talks about the inchworm, how you slowly inch forward, um, and you leave behind all those things that cause you to not be profitable. Because he also talks about uh, golf, and getting trading better that way. And then there's a few other guys out there that have like daily or weekly, you know, trading newsletters, and they pretty much they all line up. And I guess you could probably put me in that group too, because a lot of people are now talking more about philosophy than indicators. And they've realized that you really have to overcome your deficiencies as a person because they show up when you trade. So once again, if you're impulsive, you got to do that. I was just talking to Walmart earlier, and I said, one of the things, if I'm not fully engaged in the trade, I will just, basically kind of start gambling where I'm distracted and not really looking. Because, we were sitting here watching the pound and it was going up, and Walmart goes, it's going to go to the double O, and it hit 95.8. That's the high on my screen. Um, you can see that right there. Um, but I was sitting here waiting to short and waiting to short and waiting to short. I'm just chomping at the bit for a short. And one of the things about the short was it really needed to close below the indicator 2, and really needs to close below indicator 2 on the M5. Now it did it a couple times like here, but as you can see it just went back. But what I was saying is, if you look at the M15 indicator 2, you can see this thing was still on the upswing. And It's so easy to get inflected by rushing in these trades, and it's just, you just have to let price do what price wants to do, because it's going to do it with or without you. But there's certain signals along the way that indicate, okay, you probably have a better chance of, you know, having a positive outcome if you do this at this time, as opposed to doing it when you want it to before. So, for example, right here, I would have probably been chomping at the bit for that short, and then look what happened. But by it not, um, by looking over here and seeing that this number and all these numbers here are positive, it's like, it's not probably good. And so, for example, here, this M30, you still got 5 pips, because chances are it might just come down, bounce off indicator 2 on M30 and turn right back around. And so those are the types of things that I've been looking for. And just to, make that small, tiny improvement, because Walmart likes to tease me and says, she goes, well, you've been saying for years, if you'd only waited an hour. And once again, if you look here, okay, that's not quite an hour, but I mean, let's see, the time there is, let's just call it 17:25. And then if you come over here, 45, okay, that's 20 minutes. But the idea is just wait. And I'm thinking, I was looking here because I see there's this huge imbalance, which is now just went in and got into that area. But the whole idea is, you have these things, your triggers, your ideas, your trading plan, and you just have to improve just a little bit. And sometimes that also goes with how much profit you look to make. So sometimes you may only just go for a pip or two, because you can get that pip or two. And then maybe when you come back the next time, you go, okay, maybe a week or so later, let me see if I can get 3 pips, rather than go start out with, oh, I want a 30 pip run. Because anything on M1, that's just noise and all that, you know. But the thing is, sure, you could have made that and then some. I mean, if I would have jumped in, if I would have been awake, I could have gotten in the launch pad, and that would have been a, 40 or 50 pip launch. That would have been sweet. But it's one of those things where you have to really focus on just making small improvements. It's just like with exercise. You start out, like they say, the first day you do 1 push-up, the next day you do 2, the next day you do 3. And it's like, yeah, 1 push-up's nothing. I'm wasting my time. No. They say what you're doing is you're creating a habit. So by the time you plateau the first time, and maybe for some people, 2 might be the plateau, but usually, probably, especially if you're younger, you probably do a little bit more, but that's not necessarily the case if you're overweight or you've got something else going on. But the whole idea is just to make those small improvements, 1 push up, 1 pull up, 1 sit up, 1 toe touch. But every day you try and shoot for just a little bit more. Back when I was lifting weights, I actually bought, the smallest weight was like a 1 1/4 plate, 1 1/4 pound plate. And I don't know what I was lifting at the time, but every day I would add like a 1 1/4. Then I take that off, and the next time I put on a 2.5. And the next time I add on a 1 1/4. Then the next time I pull off both those plates and put on a 5, and just slowly try and get up there, because I was doing something where it was just one lift a day, but and it wasn't a big distance either, but it was just something just to build strength, incrementally over time, and it worked. And that's the same way with your account. You know, you know, people trying to, make Lamborghini money in a week or something. Is it possible? Well, yeah, if you hit the right crypto, maybe. Or if you have a really big account, but somebody with $1,000 account wants to drive on Monday, they want to drive a Lambo on Friday. They're probably going to have to hit some crypto just at the right time, and both the entry and the exit. But for most of us mortals, we're just going to be trading, a little bit at a time. And Walmart said, he's cut down his lot size, where he's not trading as heavy per trade. Now he might get in multiple trades averaging in, where he might be up to his original lot size or more, but he just says he has a lot less stress, and he can still make enough money to put food on the table and pay the light bill or electric bill. It's funny people call it light bill. I don't know why they do that, because it does a lot more than lights. But back to the main point. So he was saying something about he risks less. I go, no, you still have the same risk. It's just you're not lifting as much. You're not in as heavy. And he's like, yeah, you're right. So, that's the other thing. I mean, people can laugh at, the micro lot traders, but I always tell people, put some skin in the game, even if it's a micro lot, a lousy dime a pip, because that's going to start triggering your emotions, especially if you only have $100 account or less. There's some guys out there in some countries, $50 is like a whole lot of money to them. And so, them making $1 a day or something is huge. And I know it might sound funny, but, not everybody has that same, let's call it first world privilege of having, you know, that disposable income that we're willing to lose via trading. And it's just something that when you really consider it, you can feel humbled and you can feel grateful, um, which is something that a lot of these books and videos and blogs tell you about feeling grateful. But I'm not really getting into that. But as far as just trading better, just avoiding the stupid, it's just Charlie Munger, I think I did a video a couple months ago about avoiding stupid, um or avoid stupid. um he just really emphasizes, he's not looking for the fancy, not looking for the super sophisticated. He just wants to make sure he's not making a dumb mistake or stupid mistake. And that's just something that, as traders, in our plans, we say, well, if this and this and this, then I should take the trade. But the thing is, you need to have some things in there say, well, let me find some reasons not to take the trade. And right here, there'd be a good one. You look at price got pushed away 1, 2, 3, 4 times at this level here. And it's like, and it seems like it was, starting to make those higher lows. And, you can start, in your mind drawing trend lines and things like that. And you can see, hey, it didn't break it. So it's just like here, I can see this trend line here coming down, and all of a sudden, boom, price went through and broke it. And it actually came back to the EMA 5, the M5 EMA 5, and it turned around. So, fellow traders, I hope maybe you can start thinking about that. Minimal improvement each day, each time you trade, so you don't make mistakes and you just inch forward. Because, as always, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.